Greetings, fellow horror fans.
This is FREAKSmoviereviews, a new channel to bring everyone who loves horror together. Last week we talked about a cinematic masterpiece that was Blood Feast, which was about an Egyptian cult worshipping a non-Egyptian goddess, people being crushed by garbage, and the most brilliant acting that could only be compared to Manchester by the Sea.
There's nothing there.
That's not true. That's not
Nothing there.
true.
I'm serious. You don't understand. And I don't
I'm
know what
gonna
this...
send you.
I know you understand. I've got to go. I'm sorry.
I can't remember. I can't remember.
Take it easy, son.
It wasn't very good. So which movie is next on the list? Which movie is next in Occultmonth? Which? Oh, I know, the Yes, next on the list is witchcraft. I like witches. They are very, interesting, because they have many faces. They can be good-hearted herbalists or evil Satanists. They can be seductive beauties or horrific monstrosities. They are a product of imagination and fairy tale fantasy, but also grounded in reality, according to belief in certain cultures and folklore. To this day, the true existence of real witches is still shrouded in mystery, and I like that. I like mystery. And for the record, I'm talking about real witches here, okay?
They're in my hair! They're in my hair!
There are people out there who claim to be witches or Wiccans or pagans or druids or whatever. I'm not talking about them. Now, I don't want to come off as ignorant here because everyone has a right to his own beliefs or religion.
We've had people that are desperately ill with cancer and things like that, and they ask for a release from their disease, their terrible illness, and we do our best.
Weave your web of dark and light.
But that is fucking stupid. And if I offended anyone by saying this, I truly, humbly don't care. At all. You know what? Put a spell on me. Yeah, that'll teach me. Yeah. I seem to be bleeding from the eyes. Anyway, we're here to talk about the witch, or the villag'rs, as it's apparently called. When a puritan family is banished from a New England town for their different beliefs, they are forced to start up a farm in the middle of the woods. As you would guess, weird stuff starts to happen. Crops are failing, cattle is dying, their milk is undrinkable, the rabbits are unusually creepy, children get missing or start speaking in tongues. At one point, the father even has to lock his family members up. Okay, of course, because of their fanatic religious view on the world, the family starts accusing one another of witchcraft and devil worship.
Will you not hear me?
Prithee, comfort.
Why have you turned against me?
Christ, come on, witches, if you will but speak truth to me. As I love thee, speak truth.
It is you!
Especially their eldest daughter, Thomasin, who is hitting puberty. She is becoming a young, beautiful woman, and therefore must be evil, I guess. 17th century people can relate. That is the plot of this New England folklore tale. The Witch is the debut of director Robert Eggers, who looks like he came straight from the 17th century himself. The film received overall very positive reviews and is often declared as the best horror film of 2016 or even the last few years. So of course I had to take a look at it to see what all the fuss is about. And is it this good?
Allow me to put on my skepticals. Whoop!
Well, let me start off by praising every technical aspect of this film. The cinematography, sound and music, production design and art direction are superb. The dark and gloomy tone shapes the film into a coherent, atmospheric, disturbing experience, and thus a very successful modern contemporary horror film. What stands out especially is the mise en scène. The story is set in 1630, a few decades before the famous Salem witch trials. The representation of the time period is very realistic and is immediately set up in the very first couple of scenes. You see a tribunal, some guys from the Night Watch painting, wooden settlements. Oh look, Native Americans, that's cool. Yeah, we never get to see them again. Fine, all dialogue is in ye olde English too, which is pretty cool.
Within the wood.
Wilt thou not help thy father?
You and Mother have always forbade us to set foot there.
But if you're like me and English is not your native language, I suggest you watch it with subtitles, because it can get confusing.
Fain would I tell thee that Sam sleeps in Jesus, that thou wilt, that I will. But I cannot tell thee that.
Also, the acting is excellent. The father is played by Finchy from The Office, which is pretty funny when you watch these two performances back to back.
Well, you down there, love?
Close to the bone but harmless, isn't it?
Christ. Give me half hour there, it'll be up to me nuts and guts. Our Lord and only Saviour, Jesus Christ. Amen.
You may also know him from Game of Thrones.
I'd leave him up a few more days. Sends a message.
The mother is also from Game of Thrones. Well, when you need depressing characters, where else are you going to look? But it's the child and teen actors who really steal the show. They deliver about the best performances I've ever seen in a horror movie. Especially the girl playing Thomasin, Anya Taylor-Joy. Boy, that name needs more Y's. I like how she's a little bit kooky and witty in the midst of these otherwise depressing characters, but maybe she's a little too wacky for her own good.
Liar.
I be the witch of the wood.
Liar. Liar.
I am.
Be quiet.
Mercy! She's blood-telling fantasies! Perchance I'll boil and bake thee, since we're a lack of food.
Stop, Thomasin!
If ever thou tellest thy mother of this, I'll witch thee and thy mother, and draw it too!
Damn, girl, could you tone it downeth a little? You're already on thin ice. You're a flourishing young woman pretending to be a witch at a time where flourishing young women believed to be witches were killed. So the film really works as a disturbing viewing experience about a realistic period piece. It's grim, dark, tragic, and at times even haunting. I like how it blends supernatural and fantasy elements with gloomy realism, almost in the likes of El Labirinto del Fauno. But does this make it a masterpiece? Is there more to this film?
Skepticals.
See, this is where I'm starting to get some problems with The Witch.
What?
First off, let's take a look at the plot. It is not very original. There, I said it.
Get him!
The film claims to be based on the folklore and historical documents about the witch trials in New England, but in reality the structure of the film is based on something entirely different. I happen to have read the short story The Color Out of Space by H.P. Lovecraft recently. It's a neat and chilling little tale about some entity from space that crashes near an isolated farm in the woods. After this supernatural phenomenon, weird stuff starts to happen. Crops are failing, cattle is dying, their milk is undrinkable, the rabbits are unusually creepy, children get missing or start speaking in tongues. At one point the father even has to lock his family members up. Yeah, that sounds strangely familiar. You might even say it's the exact same fucking story. But I'm not accusing the movie of anything, it can be a coincidence. But it is clear that both stories are about fear of the unknown, and they both use a supernatural element as a catalyst. So actually The Witch is very Lovecraftian in style, which is fine, but is very common in the horror genre. It is a very conventional story, just told in an unconventional way. I wouldn't mind so much if the movie wasn't praised for being so original and unique.
No different. Only different in your mind.
Movies like The Autopsy of Jane Doe, The Neon Demon, or just Demon have way more to offer in terms of story and originality. But that's just the plot. What about some underlying themes and subtext that elevate this movie to a work of art? What is it actually about? Boy, is that a good question. You see, after seeing the movie for the first time, I kinda liked it, but there was something rubbing me the wrong way. I just couldn't put my finger on it. So I thought about it, and when I thought in the most thoughtful way I could think. And then I found it. See, there is this sequence in the movie where we see a Baba Yaga-like figure performing a horrific ritual with a freshly kidnapped baby. The sequence is truly gruesome and disturbing. It is a perfectly executed moment of pure horror. But it is this sequence I have the biggest problems with. It is shown when we're 10 minutes in. That is way too early. Not only is this amount of dread and true horror never surpassed in the rest of the movie, but also, and more importantly, establishing the existence of the witches being real makes the themes I think the film is trying to get across fall flat. Any question that is set up later holds no merit. I ask you, what is the story about? I've heard and read all kinds of interpretations critics make about the movie, like that it's about man versus nature, his struggle to conquer the wild. Well, they just established that there's something supernatural at work here, so the man versus nature thing doesn't really make any sense. At first I thought it was about fanatic religion, faith and superstition. There's obviously a lot of religious symbolism in the movie. There sure is a lot of praying, and I guess the father here looks like Jesus a little, and chopping the wood would be his faith falling apart. I'm just guessing. But we know witchcraft and the work of the devil is real in the movie's universe, so it's not an article of faith now, is it? There is no question of losing faith and being tempted by evil when the devil is clearly present. I haven't seen any angels or a sign from God in this film.
Arthur, King of the Britons.
Oh my God.
Oh, don't grovel. One thing I can't stand, it's people groveling. Sorry.
So why shouldn't people worship the devil here? At least he's clearly real in their shitty lives. I mentioned Pan's Labyrinth earlier. This is a good example of how to mix fantasy with realism. Because both worlds are clearly separated, the movie's intention is clear as well. If the fantasy world was established to be real and intertwined with the villainous Spain of the 40s, the movie would be a big mess and the story wouldn't make any sense. Then there's people who claim The Witch is about feminism. Really? It's about feminism now? What, is it because Thomasin is a strong female lead? Here I thought the story was about a witch and a family falling apart. It's not because Mad Max is about feminism that every movie with strong female characters automatically is. Next thing you're going to tell me the film's racist because one of the evil characters is a black goat.
Damn your black Philip.
That's racist, man. Yeah, that's just straight ignorant, dog.
Thus, in conclusion, I applaud the overall disturbing atmosphere that dominates the film, but for my taste, some more truly disturbing scenes would be welcome. There's that one sequence that stands out for me in terms of real horror, but it's already shown in the first 10 minutes. It gives the overall atmosphere a serious boost, but I still feel like they shot their ball too early. The intensity of this sequence is never surpassed, and I ended up feeling a little disappointed. Also, I believe people give this movie a little more credit than it deserves. Is it good? Certainly. But is it one of the best horror movies in the past few years? Well, is it better than Don't Breathe, Hush, The Autopsy of Jane Doe, The Love Witch, The Shallows, The Wailing, Train to Busan, Under the Shadow, 10 Cloverfield Lane, Shelley, The Eyes of My Mother, The Neon Demon, Bone Tomahawk, Darling, Green Room, Southbound, The Invitation, Crimson Peak, Demon, What We Do in the Shadows, or It Follows? I guess it's just a matter of opinion, and mine is that no, it isn't. But I do recommend you watch it. Like I said, it makes for a dark and atmospheric viewing experience. As far as chilling tales about witchcraft go, The Witch is pretty damn good. So there you have it, that was The Witch. Next week we conclude the Occultmonth with a horror story about a baby. No, not that one.
Damn you, vile woman!
No, not that one either. No, no, wait, yeah, that's it. Yeah, that one. Rosemary's Baby.